this product at night, which is fans who want a lower heart rate.
This is my little device.
So I've got data on pretty much.
So
I don't use the data, I just keep it cold.
Now, you do need a membership for the first year. This is liquid
you
cooling
track
unit.
the recording with this right here on the arc. You have the audio amp for the speaker, which is plugged into the speaker,
First time install.
and I just need to send data to it from Bluetooth. Now, so I send data from Bluetooth. These are my pulse width modulation channels that, but what I mean is, this is for the auto-conscriptor side of the things, for the robot. This is for the robot, but I need to miniaturize it. Well, it's basically got to get shrunk down. It's got to get shrunk down to fit on here, and it's basically gonna have like a time machine and radio to manipulate the waves. And I've been doing experiments to this. So, like this, and I plug in the ion generator, and you can actually see the charge of the air. But this is what the robot will look like. So it'll have this. This on it with the time effect. So this is for temporal affecting robot. So watch. When I attach this to it, all I need to do now is make a PCB, and then you attach this to that, and that, I need to shrink all of this down to fit under this and power this robot up. But what I'm going to do, so I got those printing materials, those UV curing devices for the robot, and it's going to have those on the legs. So these legs are going to have the UV devices.
Would you like to go down the elevator, man?
Or under it. But what I mean is to print nanobots. So for UV curing in time, that's the time machine. That's a miniaturized version of the time machine, which I was doing with the Jacob's ladder. I don't know if it works yet. I still don't know if it works yet. But this is also a part of the time machine. So this attracts anti-materialistic nodes, and I've been doing studies with the ions and trying to gestate and make the ions activate like off of UV light to act in a similar manner when it does in the clouds, in the anti-materialistic charge and stuff. But so this is to sense the future and pull data without time, lack of there being time, in reverse space-time. So this is the time travel to reverse. I want to put this with nanobots and UV printers attached to here.
Not bad at all. Big thank you to Suits and Sawdust for
But I have to miniaturize this,
quite the job. I think the deck will get more
which I'm probably going to do once I find a PCB app that's good enough. But it's to make a handy helper robot. So this is AI right here. This stuff is AI to plug into that and ask it questions and make it search and stuff like this. It's just all this code, and I have multiple forms of this. So it uses Bluetooth and sound as a transmedium to communicate with the torsion attractors or anti-materialistic effects. But I've been studying this and these are for time constants. This is the time software, stuff C, volume control, playback, start, sound recording of it, arc recording of it, which is that little camera, the camera and all the other stuff, and the sound recording, which is that, Bluetooth, and then the arc. You push the arc to record and gestate a time travel event, but that's what you would do. And then it has this scientific method AI that I made, and all of these for the image, GIF, video, chemistry, circuit, object, and it cycles through enumerations. And here's some more channels. So I was gonna hook this oscilloscope to it. I want to hook this oscilloscope to this robot at the same time with this software and stuff. And also I need to find some way to gestate this. So look, I put ions in here, right? I trap ions in here. I want these to be the printer. So these will be what prints the nanobots. But what I was trying to build is an antimatter catch to put on it. So I'm trying to study how it affects eddy currents and ion charge or static charge in surface area, and how the elastic and rubber affects the ion charge in surface area while I'm testing stuff in this chamber to make it so where you can recreate the formulation, like the form of the clouds, the static charge, and the constant UV bombardment of the sun to the clouds, and how it charges and interacts with the particles in the air. You can see the charge of the particles all jumping around. So it's like saturation, like different. But then you put this in it, and it affects it. You can see the particles that'll affect the particles. And that's what you do. You put this right here together. This is the time machine. This is proven. Well, the Jacob's ladder is proven, but I'm trying to test that right now. To test with the new software that I had to make. Because this computer that I have is down. So this computer is what I'm using to make this, to make a little robot. But I wanted to make these arms to print materials, so they'll have those 3D printers on.
SCP-001 isn't just about Anderson.
Or mainly just, all I mainly wanted was the hexapod piece to house the electronical components from this robot. From that robot, that's what I've wanted. And then I was going to modify it a little bit more. So I'm probably going to end up taking the legs off of this to modify it more.
In the early 1800s, he began work on his beautiful and horrific magnum opus,
and experiment with the anti-materialistic saturation of the clouds, or the hue. And then I have like stuff to test it.
Company towns had existed for a long time, but this time, the factory itself was the town. It had everything we need.
But yeah, I've already showed you the time travel evidence, which got fucking taken down. Goddamn bastards. But what I'm saying is,
all their wants and needs from cradle to grave would be met in the Anderson
It sucks. They just keep hacking me and retro framing me, dude. It's crazy. But what I'm saying is, this has, so it has tool. So this is supposed to be a tool with this. So I'm going to take that bottom part off, or the legs off. And then it's just going to be a tool with that and the Arduino. In the time machine recording of it. It's just, how the fuck do I boost the sound loud enough for the arc? Because I swear they put like a forgetful barrier on this shit to make it so where the arc gap makes an amplitude of sound with the infiltron. Like someone designed it to silence the fact that you can't hear it. You know what I mean? Like that's methodically planned for sure. With the, like that's, it's crazy. But what I'm saying is, this is just hooked together to show a working model. And what I mean is the amperage of the sound that comes from this. You see what I mean? Like, watch.
These symbols were only visible when blood flowed across them, while people traveled hundreds of miles to
this.
work at the Anderson factory.
Do you see this arc? This is like controlled in design.
The factory remained in operation like this for 40 years.
But the sound, so I want to beam another sound into it with that speaker. See, I can do it with the Jacob's Ladder because it's completely different arc. It doesn't have as much sound, it has more contact, and it flows more fluidically. But basically, I'm trying to make a device to test and probe and make an extropy bubbler. So in time, you charge up an extropy engine once you get an arc, and then bam, it's a bubbler in time of zero sum and like a consciousness engine. So it's not trackable.
Going on in the Anderson factory, nothing was ever done. It was just too.
I'm just saying.
With the horrible truth underneath the productive surface, and it was truly productive. The factory was so huge and filled with such a multitude of enslaved workers. There wasn't anything they didn't produce.
But
from textiles to technology to crafts and meat.
I know it will work with the Jacob's Ladder. I just don't know if it'll work with this little speaker because the sound.
Efficiency and the contempt and hatred for humanity itself. He believed his workers were lower than him. They only existed as a means to his nightmarish ends. And if ever the workers became